Hi guys.
Welcome to another lovely edition of the Scholar's Diary. I'm Anu and
Namaiwa.
and today we're going to be talking about what you should do while you wait for the Chevening application to go through.
I know a lot of you took a heavy sigh after submitting your application on November 7th or perhaps earlier. And of course, it's going to be a long wait, about 2-3 months before you get to hear back from the Chevening Secretariat. However, there are some things that you can do while
you wait.
So, Anu, would you like to start?
The first thing on my list is start your university applications. Time is of the essence. Remember, you filled in 3 university choices in your application. This is the time to start getting across to the universities. Start filing in your applications. The earlier, the better.
I've spoken to 1 or 2 people regarding this, and of course, some of them have even gotten admission for next year. So yes, you can get admission this early. However, if you don't get it this early, it's not a problem. Just make sure you're working on it and you're working at it. Then, of course, another thing you need that you can do while waiting is having to deal with your references. Yeah, so who is going to write your reference? I'm sure you must have listed 1 or 2 persons in your application. This is the time to get across to them. This is the time to try as much as possible to persuade them to write the kind of reference that would put your best feet forward.
Winning reference letters.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the next one is start preparing for your English language test. It might be IELTS. I think it's IELTS. Chevening mostly accepts.
Prefers IELTS.
Academic IELTS.
Yes,
so this is the time to start preparing for it. You might decide to write it as early as this because the test results last for about 1 or 2 years. For a considerable amount of time, and it will come in handy. So if you can write it early enough, fine. Else, if you want to wait maybe for the interview stage before you write it, that's also fine. As long as you begin, to prepare for it, either by saving some money, to pay for the exam because it's not free. Or as a way of studying ahead for the examination, especially if English is not your first language.
And also, I would like to say on that for a country like Nigeria, of course, you can do IELTS like every other weekend. And so you can probably wait till January or February to get it done. But for some countries where you have to, I think, is it Cameroon or Togo or one of those countries that you have to travel to Nigeria or to another country nearby to write IELTS. If your country happens to be like that, you need to do something about that as soon as possible. You need to start preparing or prepare to write.
So the next thing we want to talk about is your transcripts and your undergraduate transcripts, certificates. Your undergraduate certificates. You need to start getting those ready as well because you require that,
Let me say that particularly, of course, based on the kind of school where we go, of course, being in Nigeria and all of that, we had a lot of industry actions around the time when I needed my certificate and my transcript, and it was difficult to get my transcripts, very difficult. As I speak to you, I've not collected the original copy of my transcript. I had to get a photocopy from the exams department, exams and record, to go through this application. You can imagine how difficult it was for me.
So if you know it's going to be that cumbersome.
Exactly. So please, this is the time. You have like 2-3 months to fix this, work on it and get it done.
Another thing you might want to do is to begin to prepare for the interview stage. Let's say you make it to the lists for the interview, for the Chevening interview. You don't want to go in unprepared. So this is the time to start, reviewing what kind of questions can they ask, start asking around if you can get across to alumni, what kind of questions were you asked, what was expected of you,
I would also like to say that, the interview preparation is not like any other preparation that you've done in this application process. It's different. It has its own style in the sense that you have to prepare for it in action.
Yeah.
So if you want to go to the interview panel and tell them that within the last 2-3 months you did this and this, you need to start doing those things now. So for some persons, I think there was a particular case of a lady who was pushing a particular bill in her country.
Yeah.
So by the time she was applying, the bill had not scaled through, but she worked on it, and by the time it was time for interview. She just put it out there straight that the bill I said I was working on my essay has come true.
Yeah.
So whatever it is you've put, whatever it is you've not put, whatever you think that you can do within this period of time that would give you a strong edge over thousands of applications, please get to work on them.
Yeah, I think we're going to make another video,
definitely,
in a few weeks,
yes,
that actually talks about preparing for your Chevening interview,
yes,
where we'll go more in depth into what it takes to prepare. So finally, guys, the last thing we'd like to tell you is keep working on yourself, keep building your skills, keep improving on yourself. Maiwa, what do you have to say about this?
Well, I would say that, of course, there's this research that was done sometime, I think 2014 or 2015, about communication skill. It is said that virtually every other skill in the world would soon fade away. Example being that if you were a street sweeper 10 years ago, there are now trucks that sweep the streets. If you were a vigilante 10 years ago, we can now have barbed wire that can do your job. So there's going to be a replacement for many jobs across the world, but some soft skills would always be relevant, and one of them is speaking. So whatever you can do to build that capacity such that when you are speaking to a panel of people, when you are speaking in public, when you are trying to get something done one way or the other, you can show forth some excellence in that regard. Please work on that. Then I can also say that
professionally,
yes, what are you doing? So for some people, you were probably doing your maybe you've switched, or for some people maybe you were working on something and now that project is over, you are just waiting. Don't wait, get onto another project, do something for yourself, build as much capacity as you can. You have a lot can happen in 3 months, trust me. Like in the last 3 months of before the application, what were you up to?
I was up to a lot of things. I think that was the time I did my fellowship with UN Women Empower Women, when I was named a global champion for change. Then I rounded off a project with the US mission in Nigeria. I was just busy, really doing my work and looking for better opportunities, because I told myself, even if Chevening doesn't come through, I still need to work on myself. And I think that's the right mentality,
And I think that, of course, like you see, I'm sure those things helped you with your interview.
Yeah.
And definitely. And, you should also consider the possibility that Chevening doesn't come true. So if Chevening doesn't come true, are you just going to...
Just stop,
Just stop pressing on. No. So you have to keep at whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
And you have to keep making the best, building yourself, getting the best out of yourself, and getting the best out of your life.
Yeah. So guys, that's it for this episode. Thank you for watching all our previous episodes. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe now. Thank you guys for watching.